Welcome to the last week of October in 2025, and therefore the last week of Movies You Missed Podcast's Horror Month. I know John is very devastated about that, and it's a bittersweet moment for me as well.
It's always bittersweet for you these days. You like moving on, but I do not. So here we go.
That's a perfect description. I enjoy it while we're in it, but I also am happy to move on when we're done.
Yeah, I continue horror movies after we're done with our month here because I have so many to watch. And spooky season, I always kind of feel, does bleed into November a little bit, but I'm just really sad that this is our last episode, but we're going out with a bang.
We certainly are, and we hope that you all have enjoyed our horror month this year at Movies You Missed. Welcome, and thank you everyone for joining us. I'm V.
John here.
And we are good friends and film industry veterans who love to discuss movies without spoiling them every week, so thank you for joining us. As I said, this is our last week of our horror month, and these movies are really creepy.
Hell yeah.
And John hadn't seen mine before, so I'm really excited to get into that. But since this is an odd episode, I will go last, and that actually makes sense because I think mine is a bit of an homage to yours, or at least certainly got a lot of inspiration from your film, and we are going in chronological order this week, so I think it worked out really nicely. And I'm really excited to get into your film because I've grown to love it.
All right.
And as most of you know, we love to discuss the new movies we've seen either in theaters or on streaming before we dive into the movie picks of this week, covering the topic of our choosing, this week being haunted spaceships.
Yes, space horror.
Space horror is really fun. I love that subgenre.
Hell yeah.
There aren't many of them. I think the classic being Alien probably kicked off the space horror genre. I believe I discussed that when I picked Alien in our very first Halloween month back 3 years ago. So let's jump into the new movies. John, what did you see this week?
I saw 2 movies in theaters and 1 on streaming. I'm going to start with the one, as usual, that I liked the least.
Okay.
I went and saw the new horror flick that I've seen a trailer for a few times and was a bit pumped up to see it because I've heard a lot of great things about it. I couldn't tell you who was in the movie other than Keith David for the minute and a half that he's in it. This movie is called Shelby Oaks.
Oh, yeah, that was a secret movie last week for Cinemark, actually.
Oh, very cool. And you did not go?
No, I wasn't quite interested in that horror movie specifically.
All right, I gotcha. Well, you can keep your interest at bay because it is not worth seeing. It was very lackluster. There was one moment that had me wide-eyed, and from there it just completely fizzled out into a cliche horror movie with nothing original going on in it.
Bummer.
Yeah, it was a bit of a bummer. But other than that, I watched another horror movie last week called The Woman in the Yard.
I don't know if I've heard of this one.
Not many people have. I saw a few trailers for it early on this year. It came out, I want to say it was like March or April, but I watched it on streaming, and while it wasn't super scary, it had a couple of moments that were a little freaky, but nothing that really jumped out at me. Haha, no pun intended. But it was okay. I'd give it like a C- overall. And then the final movie I saw, I was pretty excited for because I do like the cast, although I'm not the biggest fan of the writer, director, and star of this movie. I went and saw Aziz Ansari's directorial debut of Good Fortune.
Okay, this is a movie I've been really excited about. I just didn't get a chance to see it last weekend.
I think you should definitely see it. It is very funny from beginning to end. I think my biggest problem is I just am not an Aziz Ansari fan. So if he had maybe had somebody else cast as the role that he played, I might have enjoyed it more. I just, for whatever reason, not the biggest fan of his. He's made me laugh several times in Parks and Rec, and I will say that he's a very good writer. He's definitely knows what will make people laugh, because I laughed throughout the entire hour and a half. I just couldn't get on board with Aziz Ansari as the lead in the movie, and there's a lot of problems with the movie. I'm not going to get really too much into it, but I would say I'd give it like a B-. It certainly is very funny. It's all right.
Okay. Well, I do like the rest of the cast, so I'm definitely going to see it.
Absolutely. Totally worth watching. Like I said, made me laugh throughout the entire thing.
Awesome.
And I know you watched some new stuff over the last week.
I did. However, I've actually decided to hold off on talking about the movies I saw this week because they're more family-friendly, and I think that they'd be much better suited for next week's episode. That is our palate cleanser episode, especially because I know my niece is going to be listening to that episode, and there are several movies that I want her to know about and tell her about. So I did see some new movies, but tune in for next week, and I'll talk about them then.
Okay.
Well, all right, John, now that we've covered the new movies we've seen this week, Are you ready to dive into our last week of horror?
Yes and no.
Totally understandable. You want to kick us off with your movie?
Let's do it. Let's jump into 1997, which was the year this movie came out. This film is written by Paul Eisner, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, not to be confused with Paul Thomas Anderson.
No.
A lot of people do still have that problem, and that's okay because there technically are two Paul Andersons. The way that we differentiate is their movies are vastly different from each other.
And both still good in their own rights.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I love me some Paul W.S. Anderson. The Resident Evil movies are great. Love this one in particular. And PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson's got a great resume as well. Not so much the new one, but still an enjoyable movie to an extent.
To an extent, One Battle After Another was enjoyable, but I think that...
I'm going to watch it again, I think, for sure. Not in theaters, but I'll watch it again when it comes out, and maybe it'll be different for me, but... yeah, it was certainly an underwhelming experience.
I have yet to speak to anyone in real life who isn't just people on Reddit commenting who actually enjoyed that film.
I don't know anybody else in real life that saw it. All I know are the people that are on the internet. They're like, well, it's PTA, it's a masterpiece. Not always the case. Spielberg doesn't have a masterpiece every time he drops a movie. Now, the only one, really, there's two, your Denis Villeneuve and my Christopher Nolan. They've pretty much been great from the beginning, so it is what it is. Not everybody's going to be a home run director all the time, but we're not here to talk about One Battle After Another, even though we could sit here for the next hour and a half and do that.
Yeah.
But let's continue on with my movie from 1997, like I said. Beyond Paul W.S. Anderson directing this one, we have a stellar cast of actors. Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, Kathleen Quinlan, Jolie Richardson, Richard T. Jones, Jack Noseworthy, Sean Pertwee, and your buddy, and mine as well, I really do like him as an actor, Jason Isaacs.
Yes.
We've done several movies with Jason Isaacs in it, and I think we should actually go through and see how many we've done, because he's shown up in so many, including the masterpiece that I did several months ago, Armageddon.
God, I love that scene with him so much. I think it's one of my favorite scenes of the entire movie.
Oh, it's absolutely one of mine. I love the whole, you will be opening your ketchup bottles the rest of your life. I love that whole thing.
He's basically the smartest man on the planet. You should probably listen to him.
Yes. I know you know what? I'm not even going to get into it because we could talk about Armageddon for another hour and a half, and V would be wrong and I would be right. So let's not get into a fight tonight. Let's continue on with this fantastic film from 1997. This is Event Horizon.
A movie my sister Shannon introduced to me when I was a teenager, and it scared the bejesus out of me at the time.
Awesome. I never saw this movie all the way through. My parents used to get screeners back in the day because my dad knew some people that were in the industry, and my parents were given an Event Horizon copy. And I remember at one point when I was home alone, I put it in and fast-forwarded a lot of it just to see what the movie was all about. And the way that this screener worked was there were color moments and then it would go into black and white moments, whereas now there's just watermark throughout the entire movie.
Oh, for a screener, yeah. But also
Yeah.
blasphemy that you fast-forwarded through a movie. What is wrong with you? I would never catch you doing that these days.
Definitely not these days, no, except for this movie Skinamarink, which I did fast-forward through but never did finish. No, Event
sucked.
Horizon, it did, yeah. My parents were like, you definitely cannot see this movie, so they were gone, and I definitely went behind their back and just wanted to see if there was anything crazy. I never really got far enough to see anything crazy. And I'm going to tell you right now, if I were 12 years old and saw what everybody has seen in Event Horizon, I would probably still have nightmares.
Oh, yeah, you'd still be in therapy for it, for sure.
I don't know why I'm not in therapy after however many times I've watched Event Horizon. This movie is so twisted and so badass and so fucked up and so brutal.
I mean,
it's literally all of what we want in a horror movie taking place in space.
Not the only reason I think you should be in therapy.
Hey, relax. That's discussion for another day.
Okay.
This movie opens up with a bunch of title cards. We have 2015, the first colony on the moon. 2032, mining begins on Mars. And in 2040, Event Horizon goes out beyond Neptune to see the vastness of space and start to explore. Unfortunately, the Event Horizon disappears and is labeled as the greatest space disaster in history. Now we are in 2047, and Sam Neill's character, Weir, who is the creator of the Event Horizon, is on a new ship with Lawrence Fishburne's character, Miller, and Kathleen Quinlan and Jolie Richardson. They are out on a quote-unquote rescue mission because the Event Horizon has miraculously reappeared just beyond Neptune. The ship that they are on is labeled the Lois and Clark, Search and Rescue. Sam Neill's character Weir is explaining to them everything that happened. Of course, this is all G-14 classified. This is all very hidden, top secret. Nobody back on Earth knows exactly why the Lois and Clark has gone out beyond Neptune. So this is all news to everybody that is a crew member on the Lois and Clark, including Miller, played by Lawrence Fishburne. So like I said, Sam Neill starts to explain to everybody what's going on and why they are going after the Event Horizon. And I'm going to let Weir tell everybody at home exactly what the Event Horizon was built for.
First of all, I want to say how much I appreciate this opportunity to join you and what
We're sure that you appreciate being here, Doctor, but you must understand, we don't. We were taken off a well-deserved leave and sent into Neptune space. We are now 3 billion clicks from the nearest outpost. The last time USAC attempted a rescue this far past the outer reach, well, we lost both ships, so if you please.
Right. Well, everything I'm about to tell you is considered code black by the NSA. USAC intercepted a radio transmission from a decaying orbit around Neptune. The source of this transmission has been identified as the Event Horizon.
Yeah. Well, that's bullshit for a start.
Skipper, you took me off leave for the
All right.
Smitty, sit down. Cooper, as you were. Let the man speak.
What was made public about the Event Horizon, that she was a deep space research vessel, that her reactor went critical, and that the ship blew up, none of that is true. The Event Horizon was the culmination of a secret government project to create a spacecraft capable of faster-than-light flight.
Excuse me. You see, you can't actually do that.
The law of relativity prohibits faster-than-light travel.
Relativity, yes, we can't break the law of relativity. We can go around it. The ship doesn't really go faster than light. What it does is it creates a dimensional gateway that allows it to jump instantaneously from one point of the universe to another light years away.
How?
So now that everybody is filled in on exactly what they are doing, it is time to dock with the Event Horizon and get on deck and see exactly what has happened. They are hopefully going to find the crew that has been lost and rescue them and bring them home. However, things don't work out according to plan, as we all know in space horror, in any kind of horror situation. They get on this ship, the Event Horizon, completely desolate, and start to do a little bit of exploring. Miller tells them all that they should split up and cover more ground that way. Of course, some people don't think that that's a great idea.
Famous
but hey,
last
there
words.
wouldn't be a story if nobody did that.
Has nobody learned anything from cinema?
No, they have not. And every time I watch a horror movie, and currently I'm in the middle of a rewatch of the Saw series, and every time I rewatch the Saw series, I'm always sitting there like trying to figure out how I would be able to get out of one of these traps if ever I were in that scenario. And similar to Event Horizon, what I do if I were sent off in a desolate ship that has just come back from who the hell knows where, I would just be scared out of my fucking mind.
Yes, I would absolutely be scared out of my mind on this ship, but when a trope like that comes up, what I always think of is that insurance commercial that was a play on horror movies a couple years ago, where all of the kids are running away, and the blonde girl goes, "Let's get into that running car," and they go, "Are you crazy? Let's go hide behind all those chainsaws."
Oh, yes, I remember that commercial. That was a
so
brilliant commercial. That was a fantastic commercial. Hell yeah. Wow, that's got to be on YouTube. I have not seen that
absolutely.
commercial in years.
Oh, I'm going to send it to you.
Please do. So now that they've split up, they are all in different sections of the ship, and Justin, played by Jack Noseworthy, comes up on the gravity drive, which looks very similar to a contraption, similar to one of the movies that you picked from September, just a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And I know you brought it up when we were discussing your pick of Contact with Jodie Foster.
No, but I do appreciate the reminder, because when I was watching Event Horizon the other day, I was like, oh yes, I just talked about that. What was it from? Oh, right, Contact. And it brought me a lot of great memories back for me, because I remember you being reintroduced to Contact and loving it.
Yes, absolutely. And very sadly, though, that movie's not on Criterion, and that would have been amazing if it was, because Criterion.com just had a 50% off sale, and I had a little fun.
Oh,
but
I
we're
can
not here to
only
talk
imagine.
about that.
No, but that's awesome.
Anyway, getting back to Event Horizon, they've all split up now. Justin has come up on the gravity drive, and similar to Stargate, there's a little bit of a liquid hull going on that looks like we, or you, or whomever is involved in this discovery might be able to slip through. Well, very unfortunately, Justin doesn't just slip through it, he gets pulled through it, and it's very, very intense. This is when Cooper finds him and pulls him back out of it, and as he gets pulled through it, there is a massive shockwave that goes through the entire ship, damaging not only the Event Horizon, but now also the Lois and Clark, and now the Lois and Clark is unable to actually detach from the Event Horizon and take everybody home, because not only is the ship desolate, they have found a recording from the previous crew that is so jarred and jumbled, all we get as an audience is just a bunch of screaming, absolute bloody murder, terrifying sounds. And then when every time I watch this movie and movies similar to this in space, like, oh, well, I'll just run it through a couple filters and we'll see what happens when we get it out of the filter box. Okay, cool. What kind of fucking filters are you running it through that all of a sudden you're going to be able to see what's going on?
Space filters.
And let me tell you what. Yeah, space filters. Yeah, exactly. This is 2047, everybody, so space filters are a thing.
I just really want to tell you how tickled I am. It's making me smile so much that you're calling it the Lois and Clark, which is Lois Lane and Clark Kent, and not the
it's
Lewis and Clark
Yeah,
that
Lewis
are
and
the
Clark.
explorers.
Well, thanks for telling me 10 minutes into my breakdown of Event Horizon. I
couldn't
appreciate
interrupt
that
you.
very much.
I was having too much fun.
The Lewis and Clark, everybody. Lewis and Clark. I
Which
guess
is-
I pronounce Lois and Lewis incorrectly sometimes.
Well, it's funny because Lewis and Clark College in Oregon is where my sister went to college.
Oh, very cool. So after this shockwave goes through, Cooper is able to pull Justin out of this black hole in the gravity drive, and unfortunately, Justin is unresponsive. He's catatonic. Weir finds out about this, goes to the medical bay to try and get some information out of Justin. However, he's unable to do that because Justin is completely elsewhere in his mind. This, of course, irritates Weir. However, Miller and his team have a mission now to not only hopefully find some survivors still elsewhere on the Event Horizon that they may not have been able to look yet. They're trying to repair the Lewis and Clark so that they can actually get home to Earth with or without any survivors other than just themselves. While these repairs are happening on the Lewis and Clark, Miller, Weir, JD, and Cooper are still on the Event Horizon, still looking for survivors. However, things don't really work out as well as they would hoped because they ultimately end up finding out that the Event Horizon crew was completely doomed, and even Miller says that this ship is a tomb. And that moment right there where that glove comes up on his helmet, scary as fuck.
So
But the cool thing about that glove is all CGI.
Well, yeah, you can tell now because this movie came out in 97. But
All right, well, I thought it was cool. I have the 4K and it still didn't look CGI to me. But
even this time around, that scene, because I guess I'd forgotten. And I watched this movie in the dark by myself, which also didn't help. But
yeah.
Watching that scene again, when that glove came around and he yells, I legit jumped and yelled as well. And then we see what it is, and we're like, I was like, oh God, that's right. Okay, I'm okay.
Yes.
But this movie,
I love he's like, oh, fuck me.
no, this movie is so scary. I'll get into it after you're done discussing the plot. But yeah, oh my God.
Definitely one of the early scary moments in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So after this glove moment that scares the hell out of Miller, for
And
the
us.
rest of the movie, and us, absolutely. For the rest of the movie, we are treated to some fantastically terrifying visuals. And as an audience, we are just hoping that they can repair the Lewis and Clark before things get way too out of hand, and they can make it home safe. Now, I watched this movie for the first time all the way through in 2008. I had a VHS copy of it that I got at Amoeba Music. I watched it by myself, alone, in my studio apartment in North Hollywood. I had the volume up to like 55 because those TVs only went to 63, so I had it up real loud. And I watched it that loud because my neighbor next to me and my neighbor below me were out of town that weekend, so I could watch movies as loud as I fucking wanted, and you bet your ass I did. This movie scared me so fucking much. When I was watching this movie for the first time, there was a knock on my door. I went to open the door and there was nobody fucking there. And this is not a joke. This literally happened. There was a loud knock on my door. I went, not even 5 seconds, opened the door. I went down the stairs because I was on the second level. There was nobody around. And that really scared the living hell out of me, even more so. So I closed the door, locked both the locks, sat down, finished watching this movie. And, oh my God, absolutely terrifying. It's beyond Jurassic Park. I think this is certainly my favorite Sam Neill movie. I love Lawrence Fishburne in this movie. Kathleen Quinlan's awesome. Jolie Richardson's great. Brandon T. Cooper's awesome. Everybody really delivers in this movie, including Jason Isaacs. I think Paul W.S. Anderson did a fantastic job with this screenplay that he was given by Paul Eisner, and it's just produced so well. The soundtrack is fantastic. I'll get into a little bit of the construction of the sets, especially the Event Horizon. And what's funny is after I saw this movie the first time, I had this weird correlation that the Lewis and Clark was called the Nebuchadnezzar, but that's from The Matrix, so it clearly was not. But with Lawrence Fishburne being the captain and him being Morpheus, for whatever reason, I put two and two together.
I absolutely did the same exact thing, especially with that gothic industrial feel of the set design. You can't not think of it.
Absolutely. So ever since then, I bought the DVD. I have this on Blu-ray, and I just recently got the 4K remaster of it. I've watched it actually 3 times since I've got the 4K remaster, once for this podcast and 2 other times, because I got it pretty early this year. I love this movie. I will watch it every October, and not even in October, just if I want to show somebody a fucked up movie. And this is certainly one of those go-to 90s movies that is just twisted, and it's so fantastic too. It's similar to, well, I wouldn't even say it's similar to Drag Me to Hell that you need a strong stomach, but I would say you certainly need a strong stomach for certain moments in this movie.
I wouldn't say strong stomach. I would say strong constitution, because it is disturbing.
Yeah, it's very, very disturbing. So like I said, I love it. I'm excited to hear V's take on it. I don't even want to get into any more of it. So V, why don't you take it away? Let us know what you thought of Event Horizon. I don't even know when you watched this movie the last time.
I think it was with you.
Did we watch it together?
Yeah, last year, one of the times I was over, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. We watch so many movies. Sometimes I can't keep track.
Yeah, we watch a lot of movies together. That's true. But yes, I hadn't seen it since I was a teenager before that. And so I've really only seen this movie 3 times. The nice thing is I forget a lot of it in between viewings. And so watching it with fresh eyes is always very fun, especially a horror movie like this. And yes, I absolutely love it. I highly recommend it to anyone. And I love that in the title cards, the first year that pops up is 2015, because back in 97, that seemed like so far away, and that we'd be so advanced at that point.
I know. It does make me wonder if there are secret missions. There's got to be. There has to be. Secret, all these launches that are being like, oh, well, they're just sending food to the ISS, or just another satellite. Some of these have got to be going into deep space, I would think.
Oh, the moon landing was faked, didn't you hear?
No, it wasn't. We're not going to get into that right now.
No, I'm kidding. You know I'm on your side. And
yes, I do.
Yes, I agree. With Lawrence Fishburne being the captain and very similar looking ships, I definitely thought of Morpheus as well, and wonder if this role helped him with the audition for Morpheus in the Matrix movies. It really does have a great cast. You recognize every single person. It's not a huge cast, which is cool, and you recognize everyone. And Sean Pertwee, I really like him as the surly navigator on this ship, and he was actually in the show Gotham. He plays Alfred, the butler for Bruce Wayne.
Oh, cool. And I've never seen that show. I heard that was a really good one.
It was a really good one. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and it was a good, solid 4 or 5 seasons. The reason why I loved his portrayal of Alfred is he's former British SAS, and so he's a total badass. He's a little bit younger than most Alfreds that we see, and so he actually helps train Bruce. And it makes so much sense when you think about it, because Gotham is all about Bruce Wayne when he's like 10 through 18, and so it makes total sense looking at his childhood, thinking, of course he needed a trainer, and it makes sense that it would have been Alfred. And yeah, it's such a fun portrayal, so that's where I recognize him from. And then Jack Noseworthy, he was in a string of movies in the 90s that I really, really enjoyed. First and foremost, he was in Idle Hands, which I love that movie.
Oh, cool.
One of these days it's going to be in the horror comedy episode. And then he also plays one of the soldiers in U-571. He actually is the one who can speak German, and he's such a good character in that movie. He did a great job. And then he was also in Breakdown, which is funny because Kathleen Quinlan is also in Breakdown. She played some really good, I know this sounds weird, but she played some really good wives, because she was the wife of Kurt Russell in Breakdown, and then also the wife of, you would know this, Tom Hanks in Apollo 13.
Yes, she was. I always thought she was kind of hot, too.
Oh, yeah, she's been around for a while, and yeah, she was, definitely. And then the funny thing is, Jolie Richardson and Jason Isaacs were actually together in a movie a couple years later, because they were both in The Patriot.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk more about Jolie Richardson next week, because she's going to be in my pick.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yes, I really do love this cast. Richard T. Jones is great, too. He's so young in this movie. Now I recognize him from The Rookie, because he plays Captain Gray. And he's a bit older now. It's because it's like 23 shit, almost 30 years later. Oh, God. But they're all wonderful. I love Sam Neill so much in this film. I totally agree with you. It's my second favorite performance of his after Jurassic Park 2. Oh, God, he's so good in this movie. And him and Lawrence Fishburne together, they play off each other so well. I really like that dynamic, and I think that's really important for this movie, to have these two very strong actors be in those roles specifically. And so I thought that was just wonderful casting, and every single scene they have together is phenomenal. You just want more of them together every time you watch this movie. It's really wonderful. I really like that they smoke in this movie. It reminded me of Alien.
Yes,
thinking that, way in the future, and people are still smoking in ships that only have a certain amount of oxygen. Brilliant. And part of the movie is them freaking out about CO2 scrubbers. And I'm like, how about you stop smoking then?
Yeah.
And I really am excited for you to get into this because the set design is incredible. I love this ship so much. It's different. I hadn't seen a ship like this before, or maybe even since, really. It's just so cool, and the shape of it is really interesting, and how they explain it and why makes total sense. And I really like that some thought went into it, that it's not just, hey, let's design a cool ship. It really does seem like there was a creative process to this, and I love that about it so much. And then lastly, all I can say is that Lawrence Fishburne saying "fuck this ship" is my favorite line of the whole movie.
That's certainly one of mine. I think Kathleen Quinlan has the funniest line in the entire movie when she comes upon something and goes, "Corpsicle."
Yeah.
Total 90s dialogue.
Right.
And what's great is there's only like 2 or 3 moments like that in the movie. Other than like Corpsicle, I think Richard T. Jones has like 1 or 2 other moments later on in the movie that are very like, okay, that's totally 90s. Mm-hmm. But everything else, it's fresh, it's new, it's it's just a very well-written movie.
This movie absolutely could have been made in the last 5 years and I would have believed you. Other than the CGI, obviously. But what I'm saying is the script absolutely holds up.
Definitely. Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it for your third watch. That's pretty wild that it's been 3 watches for you total. I think I've maybe watched it 15 times.
Nice.
Yeah, it's certainly a great one, and I would love some, I don't know, I love that I have the 4K of it, but it would be awesome to have like an OG poster of Event Horizon or something like that to hang up, like a one sheet. That'd be badass.
Oh, eBay has tons and tons of movie posters.
Let's get into a little bit of the behind the scenes of Event Horizon. I'll start with the ship because you seem to love the ship. I do as well. You mentioned it before. It's got that gothic feel to it, and the reason for that is because they based the interior and even some of the exterior of the ship on Notre Dame in France.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of the pillars that are on the bridge and in the sickbay where Kathleen Quinlan finds the corpsicle, and certain other areas of the ship are very, very reminiscent of Notre Dame's pillars inside and a lot of the stained glass as well.
I certainly never made that connection, so I'll be interested to see what it looks like on my 4th watch.
Yeah, definitely. All the sets were practical sets. The majority of what we see is all practically made. They shot this at Pinewood Studios in London over a course of 86 days. And they used a lot of the old James Bond sets, so they had a lot of room to really extend a lot of these sets. So the revolving set that later on Miller runs through, that is practically done. The gravity drive sequence, that is all practical. Now, granted, the black hole portion certainly is not,
right.
But everything is practical in that set, in that room in particular, which is so badass.
I really like how they designed it to be just a murder room with lots of spikes, and it reminded me of Galaxy Quest. Of like, why did we put that there? Oh, who designed this ship? No,
it's got a lot
this
of...
This is bad writing. Why would you have this here?
Yeah.
When Sigourney Weaver's freaking out. God, that's so funny.
Great part in that great movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all the set background information that I have. On the 4K, there are 2-hour-long documentaries on the making of this movie, and if any of you have the 4K, highly recommend you watch those documentaries. They're really, really awesome. They not only interview Paul W.S. Anderson and every cast member, there's a couple of producers that are interviewed and a lot of visual effects coordinators and artists and whatnot, including costume design and makeup. Speaking of makeup, later on in the movie, Sam Neill goes through a pretty rigorous makeup change, And that whole thing took between 8 to 9 hours to apply on Sam Neill. His call time would be anywhere between 1 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They would shoot for 8 hours, and then it would take however many hours to get him out of that. And to keep him sane, this is, I think, my favorite piece of trivia, Sam Neill and everybody in the makeup room would hang out and watch Walt Disney's The Jungle Book.
That would certainly help keep me sane as well, so.
Hell yeah.
Good idea.
Unlike Jim Carrey, who enlisted the help of an FBI interrogator or whatever it was to help
CIA
him
torture
get through.
expert.
That's right, the torture expert. I knew it was something like that. Yeah, so Sam Neill helped his torture by watching The Jungle Book, which certainly helps me with my tortured life.
Yeah, I was wondering how long it took him to get into that makeup. Good God.
Yeah, a long time. And I also, Paul W.S. Anderson and the makeup artists were saying that on stage, since everything was so hot and there was a lot of fire, they had to keep the stage very cold. And Sam Neill, I'm sure, V, you know this, he wasn't really wearing anything.
No, not
So
at
the
all.
guy was standing around in makeup and extremely cold, but was nothing but a trooper. Everybody, including Lawrence Fishburne, said that Sam Neill was an absolute gem. And everybody, every cast member had nothing but fantastic things to say about every cast member. And the cool thing about all of that is a lot of the stunts were done by the actors as well. There certainly are stunt teams involved in this movie for certain moments, but a lot of the wire work and whatnot, Lawrence Fishburne did, Jack Noseworthy did, Brandon T. Jones also did. So a lot of that is practically done. And early on in the script, they originally were all going to be in zero gravity, even when they went on the Event Horizon. So before they actually cut the gravity and they were able to have those magnetic boots actually were thought up of on the day. And I think 3 days later, they ended up making those boots actually come to fruition. So they didn't actually have to do everything zero gravity and have to be on wire work for the entire production of the movie.
Well, that was smart, and also the plot device of being able to turn the ship back on to give themselves gravity is always helpful.
There's a shot early on in this movie where Weir wakes up from a very terrible nightmare, and the camera ends up pulling out of a window and showing us where Weir is, and he is on the Lewis and Clark. That scene, that pullout of that window, took so long. Paul W.S. Anderson was never satisfied until the 20th time that they actually animated that whole sequence, because the planets behind, you know which scene I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. That whole thing cost a third of the visual effects budget.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and there are 400 visual effects shots in this movie.
Oh, yeah. There are some really great work that makes this movie as terrifying as it is, and definitely hand it to the visual effects team for sure. And the other piece of set that I really liked is when Sam Neill is crawling through those green tunnels of all of the computer circuitry. I always really like that as well.
That is a nod to 2001 Space Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
Paul W.S. Anderson had just directed his first movie when he got hired to do Event Horizon, and that movie was Mortal Kombat, the OG Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat! He actually turned down Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the X-Files movie, the first X-Men movie, and Alien Resurrection to direct Event Horizon.
That's a list of some pretty good movies right there. Holy shit.
I know. I've never seen the X-Files movie, but I have seen Alien Resurrection, and it's okay.
It's not that great. The first
Certainly
X-Men
one of the
movie
worst
is
ones.
really good, though.
Oh, hell yeah. So good.
And the X-Files movie is awesome.
I'll bet it is. One day I'm sure I'll see it. There were 2 accidents on this set, actually 3 accidents on this set. There was a massive fire on one set that almost destroyed an entire soundstage, but luckily the gas tanks did not ignite during that fire, so that was very lucky.
Holy shit. And that's rough when you want the set to be on fire, but not that much.
Yeah. Exactly. Kind of like going back to The Fifth Element, where they actually did destroy a soundstage for a certain scene in The Fifth Element.
Mm-hmm.
Jolie Richardson almost broke her ankle when she was trying to jump through a door, and the door actually ended up closing on her leg.
As someone who's broken their ankle before, I'm really happy she didn't.
Oh, I've never broken my ankle, but I can imagine it's very painful.
It sucks. Yeah, it was...
It would be very painful.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the more painful experiences of my life.
Well, I hope I never experience it. And I hope our movie audience understands my reference of what I just said. And the other accident that I was able to find out about while doing some research on this movie was Sam Neill was knocked out cold during an explosion in the movie.
Oh, not cool.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine waking up and everyone's like, "Oh shit!"
Oh,
Are you
yeah,
all
because
right?" It's like, well, what the fuck is going on?
it's Sam Neill, the star of the movie. Of course, the entire crew is going to lose their shit about it.
Yeah,
Because unlike the movies, it actually is a really big deal if you lose consciousness.
I've luckily never lost consciousness.
That trope of someone being knocked out and being completely fine after waking up is so ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no, I can't imagine you can stand right up immediately after that.
No, you need to go to the hospital if you lose consciousness when you get hit in the head.
Now, like I mentioned before, all the sets were practically done. They were somewhat under the gun to shoot this movie in about a 10-month period. All the sets were built within a 4-week period. And like I mentioned earlier, 86 days of production. Paul W.S. Anderson also directed Second Unit, which was an extra 2 weeks of the movie. So technically, the movie was just over 96, 97 days of production, principal photography. And then there was post-production, which post-production was not very long either. The studio was really pushing for them to finish the movie so they could release it because Titanic was originally supposed to come out in the slot that Event Horizon was released on. But since Titanic was facing so many budget constraints and being continually delayed in shooting because of the perfectionist that is James Cameron, they ended up really breathing down Paul W.S. Anderson's neck to finish this movie and release it in that slot. And another crazy thing about the production of this movie and even the post-production, the original cut of Event Horizon was 2 hours and 10 minutes long.
Show me that cut.
I would love to see the Paul W.S. Anderson cut of this movie. Now, this is also something that really blew my mind because everybody that is a fan of Event Horizon knows how this movie ends and knows that the audience is treated to some pretty horrific imagery. There was so much cut out of that scene because originally the MPAA gave this movie an NC-17 because of how violent and gory that sequence was. So Paul W.S. Anderson cut it all down. And then in 2012 was told that he might be able to get a director's cut going, but they couldn't find the lost footage. Some of the lost footage was found in an abandoned Transylvanian coal mine. Yeah, pretty nuts. Like,
That's
how the
awesome.
hell did it get there?
They're hiding it because it's haunted. It's cursed.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, we do not have a director's cut, but maybe one day we will. I also found out that a lot of the footage that they would use in the director's cut is very poorly kept, not including the stuff in the abandoned Transylvanian mine. That actually was a good place to keep 35 millimeter film because of the fact that there's no moisture or anything down there, so it really didn't corrode or get damaged or anything. But there's a lot of deleted scenes that are on the 4K where the quality is absolute horseshit. So it really would be difficult. Although, maybe Kathleen Quinlan can run them through some filters and maybe they can actually get it going and we can get a director's cut.
Totally. And I bet you anything, the consistent temperature of the mine helped as well.
Oh, yeah, that was another thing that I read. Thank you. I wanted to mention that, but thank you for bringing that up. There were 2 other actors in consideration to play Weir, Scott Glenn and Bill Pullman. Bill Pullman, I think, could have had a good time with it. Scott Glenn already looks hard, so I don't know if Scott Glenn would have been somebody that I would have personally chosen.
He looks like more of a pilot than a scientist.
Yeah, absolutely.
He even has the name of a pilot.
Yes, he does. And for Miller, Lawrence Fishburne's character, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tommy Lee Jones, and Bruce Willis were also considered for that role.
Bruce Willis could have done it.
I was going to say Bruce Willis out of those 3,
Yeah.
I absolutely could have seen. Especially because he would have just come off of doing Armageddon, and he would have already spent so much time in space. He would have been great.
Yeah, he was already trained for it.
Yeah. Very early on, when they get on the Event Horizon, there is a watch floating in the hallway of the Event Horizon. That is an Omega Speedmaster, and 2 astronauts wore that particular watch. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin wore that same watch.
Yeah, it reminded me of James Bond because he wears an Omega.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Now, Event Horizon came out on August 15th of 1997. V, what do you think the budget for Event Horizon was?
$80 million.
$60 million. You were off by 20.
Okay.
Opening weekend, it pulled in $9.5 million.
Ooh.
And the gross worldwide, because the domestic box office and worldwide are the same, $26.6 million.
Wow, that is rough.
Yeah. I think it was a very, very tough movie for a lot of audience members to swallow. And there's one thing I want to mention. Kurt Russell, you mentioned him not too long ago when you were talking about Breakdown. Kurt Russell and Paul W.S. Anderson worked together on a movie just after this movie had wrapped production. Paul W.S. Anderson showed it to Kurt Russell, and Kurt Russell said to him This movie right now is not likely going to do very well, but don't worry about it because in 10 to 15 years, this is going to be a cult classic, and he was absolutely fucking right. A lot of people consider this to be one of the best space horror films out there. I'm so glad that I was able to bring it to the podcast, and it is currently streaming on Peacock, and that is Event Horizon. And that is my final pick for the month of October, ladies and gentlemen. So, V, I think it's time to fast forward a couple of years and do another space horror film. What do you say?
I think that's a great idea, and I'm so glad we're going in chronological order this week because I do feel like my movie was inspired by yours, or at least yours holds the title of greatest haunted spaceship movie. I love Event Horizon so much. I'm so glad. I agree. I'm so glad you brought it to the podcast. And so for me, I'm picking a movie that came out 12 years later in 2009. This is a very underrated, rather unknown movie starring Dennis Quaid and Ben Foster and a couple other people you'll probably recognize. This is Pandorum.
Yeah.
A movie John had never seen before.
Nope, never seen it.
So I'm really excited to get into what you thought of it. And since most people I know, and I think therefore most people listening to the podcast, have not heard of this movie, I'm going to dive into the plot a little bit. Now, unlike your movie, Earth isn't doing too well. And in fact, human overpopulation of the Earth has basically destroyed it. And so humans build an Ark, an interstellar spaceship that's going to transport 60,000 people to a new planet. And this spaceship is called Elysium, which is funny because there's a movie titled Elysium.
Yeah.
This is going to be a 123-year trip to colonize a planet called Tanis. It is an Earth-like planet that our scientists have found and realized that we can colonize it and save our species. And so because it's going to be such a long trip, everyone's put in hypersleep. And in order to keep the ship running, the crew is on a rotating schedule, which I really like that about this plot because there are so many other movies where everyone's in hypersleep, and the only thing I can ever think of is, what if something goes wrong? Y'all are asleep.
Yep.
And that was one of my complaints about the movie Passengers with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence that came out a few years ago. It was fun, but there were some major plot holes in that movie.
I remember thinking it was fine, but I have not watched it since.
Neither have I. So for Pandorum, these crew members are on 2-year rotations. So you're awake for 2 years and go to sleep, and there are 6 teams of crew that go through this rotation. However, 8 years into this mission of 60,000 people going to Tanis, they get a transmission from Earth saying, "You're all that's left of us. Good luck, God bless, and Godspeed." So this is something we find out as we go because we start off with 2 crew members waking up from hypersleep and being very disoriented and actually having a little bit of amnesia. And it turns out that happens when you've been in hypersleep much longer than planned. And these 2 crew members are Corporal Bauer and Lieutenant Peyton. Now, Corporal Bauer is played by Ben Foster. He is a phenomenal actor. I talk about him whenever the conversation comes up about one of the greatest actors who can disappear into a role. He was in Hell or High Water. He plays Chris Pine's brother in Hell or High Water. He's in Lone Survivor, the remake of 3:10 to Yuma, which is a really good remake.
Oh, I never saw it.
I first saw him in X-Men The Last Stand because he plays Angel, the guy who's starting to think about taking the cure and then changes his mind and his white wings come out and they're gorgeous CGI wings. He's also in Alpha Dog, The Punisher.
Ooh.
And my favorite role of his, because it's so terrifying, he is in the Bruce Willis movie Hostage.
Oh my God, Hostage is so underrated. It's such an awesome movie.
It'll definitely be on one of our lists in the future, that's for sure.
I think we'll have to do that and Death Wish. Do like an underrated Bruce Willis episode, because Death Wish is pretty badass too.
I've never seen Death Wish.
Oh, it's directed by Eli Roth. It's awesome.
Oh, okay. Guess I'm doing Hostage.
Yeah. Totally fine.
And Lieutenant Peyton is played by Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, Quaid.
He's been on our show several times because within the first 10 episodes of our podcast, he was in Dragonheart, your pick.
Yeah.
He stars in The Day After Tomorrow, one of my picks for our natural disasters episode. And most recently, he stars in Frequency, your pick.
Yeah. Hell yeah, Quaid.
Which is funny because Frequency was in the same episode as Contact.
That's right. Well, look at that.
So, a month ago. Dennis Quaid also stars in The Rookie, the remake of The Parent Trap, which is kind of funny because Jolie Richardson's sister stars in that movie. He was also in last year's The Substance.
That's right. He was her agent, yes.
Always eating. He's
that
so
shrimp eating
disgusting.
scene.
Oh, he's so gross. So gross. So these two men wake up, Bauer and Peyton, and are so disoriented, really aren't sure what the hell is going on. They don't know why the other crew members haven't woken them up for the rotation. They can't find anyone. They also can't get to the bridge. They're wondering if they're suffering from what's called Pandorum, which is kind of like the psychosis that happens in the abyss.
Yeah.
Because Michael Biehn goes deep underwater, goes a bit crazy. Pandorum is when in space you go crazy, and it's a psychosis. And so
yes,
they're wondering if maybe something like that happened to the crew. They're just really trying to get some answers. And the reason why I think this movie is so cool is that as an audience member, you're following these two characters, and you know only as much as they do.
Mm-hmm.
So, while Peyton, played by Dennis Quaid, stays behind and tries to access not only the ship's computer and also the bridge, Bauer, played by Ben Foster, decides to go through the ventilation system to search for the reactor because not only can they not get to the bridge, but they can tell there are power surges happening, and so that therefore something's wrong with the reactor. And having a problem with the reactor while you're on a spaceship is never a good problem to have.
Not at all.
So Bauer goes through the ventilation system, which is terrifying in and of itself. It's very, very tight, especially if you have any claustrophobia. And I really like that there's this moment where he's crawling through the vent shaft and he stops and he's feeling a little disoriented and he's like, I'm pointing down. And then he like starts sliding down this vent shaft. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh yeah.
It's a really good scene. So once he's out of there and he starts wandering the ship a little bit, which it's 60,000 people. This is a big ship.
Yeah.
He is startled by someone running past him. He calls out to them and is wondering what the hell's going on and why they aren't responding. Well, it turns out it's because it's actually just a disemboweled body hanging from the rafters.
Yeah.
And then a woman jumps out and almost kills him.
Yeah, that was intense.
And unfortunately, she says something in another language and he can't really understand, and then she runs away. But thankfully, he actually is finally able to meet someone who is alive and who does speak English or the same language that he does. And his name is Shepard, and funny enough, he's played by Norman Reedus. A very small part for Norman in this movie, but he was Daryl Dixon in The Walking Dead. He also starred in Boondock Saints. He was actually in Ballerina this year. He's the father. One of my favorite roles of his, I know it's random, but in Lady Gaga's music video for the song Judas, he plays Judas, and he's really, really good in it, and he and Gaga are great together. It's awesome. It's a Lady Gaga music video. Of course, it's amazing.
Judas.
Yeah, I love that song so much.
I love that song. Oh my gosh.
Such an underrated Gaga song.
Gaga is so killer.
Mm-hmm. So Shepard is freaking out a little bit and tells Bauer about them, that you need to escape them. Don't let them find you. And he tries to, in a very frantic way, tell Bauer what's going on. And clearly this man is absolutely terrified. And Bauer tries to convince him to go with him. And Shepard says, no, there's no longer a chain of command. Clearly something has gone completely off the rails on this ship. And their arguing summons them. And this is when we get our very first glimpse of the creatures who have taken over this ship. And unfortunately, they're humanoids who something horrific has happened to all of them. And they really like to eat people. And unfortunately, that's what happens to Shepard. And so he's killed, and Bauer's only source of information is now gone. So he does what any of us would do, and he runs for his life. And this is where Bauer encounters finally some other people who are alive and not cannibals. He meets up with a scientist named Nadia. Now, she looked really familiar to me. I could not place her until I did some research for this movie. She plays the other Kryptonian with Michael Shannon in The Man of Steel. She's the other Kryptonian soldier, the female one. And
I don't remember.
She's a total bitch in that movie. I mean, the character is. The character in that movie is in Man of Steel because she's with Michael Shannon and they just want to kill everybody. So that's the only role I'd seen her in. But she's great. I really like her in this movie. And they also find someone else named Man, but he doesn't speak English. And so they're really just tagging along with each other. And what we discover, and thankfully what Bauer discovers, is that Nadia and Man have been awake on this ship for much longer than he has. And so they start telling him about how something terrible battle happened and the crew is gone. The only things that are left on this ship are these humanoids who are basically killer zombies. That's, I think, the best description of them. They are completely terrifying. They look more creature or alien than human, but they are very humanoid in their shape, which is why you can think they're humans. But yes, all they like to do is kill people and eat them. And that is one of the more terrifying tropes for me personally, is as I've said, a crazy mob, of course, is entirely terrifying for me. But also the fact that these things cannot be reasoned with, and it's just a very large, angry, violent group coming after you. That terrifies me so much. It's one of the reasons why I love this movie, is because it's really scary to me.
Oh, yeah. No, it's certainly freaky.
They also encounter a cook named Leland, who then continues to explain exactly what happened, and he's a character and a half, that's for sure. And he says he's been awake for years. He can't remember exactly how long he's been awake, but he's been living off of whatever he can find. So now back to Peyton, played by Dennis Quaid. Unfortunately, this is where he meets Corporal Gallo, who's played by Cam Giannet. Cam, I've talked about him before because... he's in Easy A. He plays Micah, the Christian who is dating Amanda Bynes. He's the 18-year-old senior in Easy A.
Yeah. I knew I recognized him from somewhere. He's a couple of things, definitely, but yeah.
Yeah, he's also the douchebag son-in-law in Violent Night, the movie star, action movie star.
Yes.
Oh, God, he's played some good characters. And he's also James the Vampire in Twilight.
Oh, well, there you go.
So he plays Corporal Gallo, and Gallo, from the get-go, seems like he's just barely hanging on by a thread, which, granted, I would be too if I was stuck on this ship with cannibalistic crazies.
Oh, yeah.
And he is trying to explain to Peyton exactly what happened and how they're on their own and they just need to try to survive. And so now we are following these two characters. Bauer and his group continue to make their way toward the reactor because it's clearly not operating correctly. And Peyton is still back near the bridge trying to access it so he can regain control of the ship and hopefully save the rest of the people who are still alive. And for the rest of the movie, we are following these two and their respective groups as they're trying to save themselves and the ship and whoever's left. And I love this movie so much because you never know where the hell it's going. You really are along for this ride with these characters as they're discovering as much information as you are, and it's absolutely freaking terrifying. There's a scene where they're in the hypersleep chamber and there's a whole bunch of pods, and then there's a group of the cannibals that come by that scares the ever-loving shit out of me because of the way they have to run away from them, and it seems like they can't. And there's also a point where they're captured, which is also very scary. And
oh, yeah.
I really love this movie. There's a wonderful reveal in the end as well that I hope you didn't see coming, and I just really hope that you enjoyed this space horror movie as much as I do, and I thought it was just a wonderful pairing for Event Horizon no matter what, and because it's so underrated, I'm excited to introduce our audience to it.
Definitely, yes. This was my first time seeing it. I'd seen the trailer once or twice, and then I think on several like DVDs when I would rent movies at Blockbuster, it would come up and be like, oh, that looks kind of cool, and I never got around to seeing it, so I'm glad that I was able to finally see it now. I definitely enjoyed it. I rented it, I think, on Apple, because I don't recall it streaming anywhere. Completely worth the $3.99. I had a really good time with it. It's certainly freaky. It's got some really disturbing moments. Ben Foster is awesome. I am a big fan of him, similar to yourself. I love me some Dennis Quaid as well. And I like the actor that plays the cook. I couldn't place him, and I didn't want to IMDb the movie and blow anything in case you wanted to talk about it, but I liked him, and I liked his whole breakdown of everything. That moment in the movie was really good. And it's definitely a claustrophobic movie. I think more so than Event Horizon because there's a lot more darkness in Pandorum, where they did a great job of literally not showing you what was in front or what was behind them. Mm-hmm. There's very few wide shots in all of Pandorum, which I thought was great. It really sold the unknowing and the terrifying aspect of it all. And it's very alien in that regard too, similar to Event Horizon. I was a big fan of it. The reveal towards the end was really, really badass, and I will definitely watch it again. I don't know how often I would watch it, but it's certainly a good movie, and I don't really know a lot of people that have actually seen it, so hopefully we are introducing people to another movie that might have literally fallen under the radar.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm really glad you had a good time. I thought it was messed up enough for you to really enjoy it, and it's certainly terrifying. And so I'm really glad that you liked watching it and would want to watch it again. And yeah,
it was a great pairing with Event Horizon.
Thank
and I love that you texted me, because you were torn between this and Sphere, and they both work, but this one is far more Event Horizon-esque than Sphere is. And I remember you texting me, I'm going with Pandorum because it's so fucked up, I think you'll really like it. I'm like, great, all right.
That is what I texted you.
That's what I'm looking for. That's what I look for in the spooky season.
Yes. And the man who played Leland the cook, his name is Eddie Rouse, and he unfortunately passed away in 2014, but he was also in American Gangster as a detective.
Ah, okay.
He played
That's likely where I recognize him from.
Lance in Pineapple Express, one of the thugs. So that also might be
Oh
a
my
place where he
gosh. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Vaguely remember him in Pineapple Express, but wow, that's interesting. He's been in 2 movies that I've done.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. And I'm just so glad you enjoyed it and liked it for what it was and what it did and how it made us feel.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, these cannibals are absolutely terrifying, and I'm glad you agree with me. And they really reminded me of Reavers from, I know you haven't seen this show or movie, but Firefly and Serenity. And so your wife would know what I'm talking about, and also my father and a bunch of other people who listen. And Reavers are men who went to the edge of space and went crazy. And
okay.
There's a moment where Zoe, who is funny enough played by Gina Torres, who is Lawrence Fishburne's ex-wife.
Oh.
She has this quote describing Reavers that I'm actually going to use in this episode just because it's so fitting to describe the things that are on the ship in Pandorum.
You never heard of Reavers?
No, campfire stories, men gone savage on the edge of space, killing.
They're not stories.
What happens if they board us?
If they take the ship, they'll rape us to death, eat our flesh, and sew our skins into their clothing. And if we're very, very lucky, they'll do it in that order.
So that is what the crew is facing on the Elysium, which is funny because Elysium is actually a place of, which basically heaven. In Greek mythology, that's where heroes of the gods were transported. And that's why Russell Crowe has that speech in Gladiator saying, "You are in Elysium," because that was basically their version of heaven. And it's the final resting place at the ends of the earth, which is why Elysium, which is transporting the last of humanity to a better place, that makes sense. The ship is called that.
Yes, that does. And that's pretty wild that this one has Elysium and that's heaven, because in Event Horizon, there's that moment where they get that dialogue from one of the doomed crew members of Liberate tutte ex vernes, and that's save yourself from hell.
Yes, I love that scene with Jason Isaacs translating it for us. It is chilling.
Oh, yeah.
This movie, like yours, was shot on a soundstage. They didn't actually build a spaceship, but it was shot in Germany, in a studio there, as well as an abandoned power plant in Berlin.
Oh, wow.
Which makes sense because when they go into the section of the ship that has all the hypersleep pods in it, it reminded me a lot of Alien, which is very industrial looking, right? The ship they explore in Alien reminded me a lot of that. And so that really metal pipe looking set, well, it's because it was an abandoned power plant. It makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So when you're scrambling for survival and desperate, sometimes you've got to do things that you wouldn't normally do, like eat insects because you're starving.
Oh, yeah. Was that a real insect? Did he eat a real grasshopper?
Ben Foster insisted on it.
Wow. I wonder what it tasted like. I've eaten crickets. Not live,
Me too.
though. They've been deep fried.
Same. And that, that reminds me, I don't know if you ever saw this episode of Modern Family, but when Phil and his friend who's played by Keegan-Michael Key, they have a bet they go on vacation together to Mexico, I think, and they have a bet to see which one's wife can eat the most crickets without them noticing.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I've seen Modern Family all the way through one time. I loved it. I don't remember that specific episode.
It's a really hilarious scene when the wives find out that they were eating crickets. And they do the same thing. No, honey, dead ones.
Yeah. I ate crickets for the first time at Epcot, actually, in the Mexican pavilion. I was at a tequila bar, and I got a avocado margarita, and they handed me a cup full of crickets, and they're like, crickets and margarita. I'm like, awesome. Amy was like, no, don't do that. And what did I do? I pretty much poured the whole cup of crickets into my mouth.
They're deep fried.
Yeah, they're tasty. Tastes good. They had a Mexican spice on them, too.
I mean, just about anything deep fried is really edible.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
Okay.
Toenails included.
Ew, 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 ew. You could write a horror movie
Oh, I really could.
with Sam Raimi on the disgusting factor. Anyway,
Totally.
back to Pandorum. This is also the first movie to have Ben Foster and John Foster, who are brothers, work together.
Oh, really?
John Foster's been in a couple things. He's certainly not as famous or as busy of a working actor as Ben, but he's still out there getting credits. And unfortunately, John is the one who wakes up out of his hypersleep pod and then is immediately swarmed by a bunch of cannibals.
All right, then. I remember that part.
Oh, yeah, I bet you do. That was a terrifying scene in this movie.
Yeah, it was.
It was also pretty
That was
horrific.
brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the kind of shit I like in movies like this. There's no lingering. It's literally just like, let's just get the audience right away. The guy's going to slowly come out. It's going to be nice and quiet, but it's not going to be quiet for much longer.
No, I love that too. I really like it because that adds to the terrifying aspect of this, that there is no time to breathe. There is no escape.
Yes.
I thought that was so well written when they did that. And like your movie, there is an unrated version of Pandorum. It exists.
Oh.
But unfortunately, it has not been released yet, hopefully. I'll hope for one because an unrated version would be even more messed up and more terrifying.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think it'd be really great.
Yeah. Same with mine. 1,000%. Let's do it.
And this movie was supposed to be the start of a trilogy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I think could have been really cool. But unfortunately, like your film, it did not do well in the box office, and that squashed any hopes for a sequel or trilogy. And so we just have Pandorum as a standalone, which is okay, but it's because it had a budget of $33 million, and in the US, it only made $10 million.
Ooh.
Worldwide, it only made 20. And unfortunately,
damn.
unlike yours, it has not become a cult classic yet. It's getting there, though. I think more and more people are starting to talk about this film, which is cool. And I think it should be in the same conversation as Event Horizon. It is a wonderful space horror movie. It is a great haunted ship movie. It's messed up in all the right, wonderful ways for our horror month. And I'm so glad that you enjoyed it.
I absolutely did.
Well, great. That is Pandorum, which you can watch if you have a Starz subscription.
Perfect.
And those are our two haunted spaceship movies picks of the week. We really hope that you've either seen them before and have been reminded of them, or are now excited to give them a try. And John, would you watch Event Horizon with your grandma?
I think Grandma would have liked Event Horizon. Yeah, I would watch it with my grandmother.
Okay.
And would you watch Pandorum with your grandmother?
No, it's way too bloody. It's way too disturbing. I don't think my dad would enjoy this. It's messed up. I think my sister Shannon would because she likes Event Horizon. I think if you have ever watched Event Horizon, any of you listening, you could definitely watch Pandorum and you'd probably enjoy it.
Definitely.
John was the litmus test for that this week and it turned out positive, which is great. I think both of these movies have very mature material in them. No one under 17 should be watching either of these films.
Let's say like 15 and above.
Hell no, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, God.
That's why I don't have children.
Yes, absolutely. Well, all right then. That concludes not only our Haunted Spaceships episode, but also our horror month here at Movies You Missed podcast. Thank you all so much for going on this journey with us once again, now that October has rolled around. And like every first week of November we do this, we are going much lighter as a palate cleanser next week.
Yeah.
John, do you want to tell our audience what topic we decided on?
We are going to go the Disney route again. We're going to go live action Disney movies.
Yes, we are.
And these two are fantastic live reimaginings of two animated classics.
One of which we've picked before. Actually, I've picked before.
That's right. Yes, you did. So, V, why don't you fill our audience in as to what your live action adaptation's going to be?
All right, I shall. This comes after a couple of months of me picking the animated classic version of this story. There have been several movies by Disney from this storyline because I picked a movie starring Jolie Richardson, Jeff Daniels, and Glenn Close playing Cruella de Vil. I picked the live-action version of 101 Dalmatians.
Awesome. I haven't seen this version in a very long time. I can't wait. I'm excited. I remember really liking it as a kid. I think it's been that long, truthfully.
Oh, I cannot wait then for you to see the other actors who pop up in this film.
I already know who Jasper is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that I do remember. But other than that, and obviously Glenn Close and Jeff Daniels and Jolie Richardson. But other than that, yeah, I don't remember much of it.
Okay, well, I'm really excited to reintroduce you to it then.
Me too.
And what live-action Disney movie did you pick?
I picked a adaptation that came to us from 2015, 10 years ago. This one stars Cate Blanchett, Richard Madden, Helena Bonham Carter, and in the starring role as Cinderella, Lily James.
And who directed this movie?
Oh, hell yeah. The director of my pick is Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
Can't wait to watch it again. It's one of my favorite live-action adaptations. My wife is a major fan of it as well. We have the Blu-ray. I'm a big fan. I can't wait to watch it again. I think we watched it in January when we were at Walt Disney World, and we watched the original animated version as well.
I've only ever seen this movie once.
Oh, wow. Sweet.
So I'm excited to dive into it again.
Yes. And if you care to follow along, you can watch it on Disney+.
Same with my movie.
Perfect.
Well, all right, everyone. I hope you join us all for next week's episode that is going to be bringing you much lighter fare. I'm certainly excited to be able to watch a movie at night without stressing myself out or keeping me awake. Although I did really enjoy this year's horror month, so thank you, John.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed it too. A lot of great movies this month.
And I'm glad we were able to re-record the lost episodes.
Yes.
And in between releasing episodes every Wednesday, please follow us along on all social media at Movies You Miss Pod, and reach out to us if you want us to do any other genres more frequently, or if you have some ideas or suggestions for movies you would like us to discuss and cover, including brand new movies that have been released in theaters or on streaming. If you want us to give it a watch and let you know what our review is before you watch it, we are happy to do so.
Absolutely.
And as always, please rate, review, and subscribe to our podcasts on whatever app you use to listen to our voices. And until next week, film is a form of art, and in art, every opinion is valid, except if you think
You could have come up with a better line than Corpsicle in Event Horizon.
a little bit of a shining light in an otherwise terrifying dark movie. All right, everyone, until next week, bye-bye.
Cheers, everybody.